What's the latest on Ollie Wines?
Yeah, he's fine. Yeah, Ollie's fine. He's gone through and checked in with the medical team and the specialists, and Ollie will be okay to play this week.
Hard to manage young guys. Do you think Christian's got to the stage where he needs a bit of a rest?
No, I don't buy into the managing young guys. I manage form and performance. That's all we worry about, and spend our time on that. And if people are playing well enough and good enough to stay in the side, they stay in the side. If they're not, we will look after that as a selection matter comes up, which we haven't done yet. So if you're going to ask me the next selection questions, I can't answer them just yet. We've got a bit to get through. We've just come off Sunday night game and a bit of training. You know, there's some people who will and won't train out there today that we'll still feel reasonably confident about them playing.
Just on Ollie, Ken, is it sort of now back to the treatment you had last couple of years?
Yeah, pretty much. Without speaking about his personal health too much, I think it's a managed situation which we know how to manage really well. Ollie, more importantly, understands it really, really well. As I said, even on the weekend, he's self-diagnosed himself. He knows himself what's going on. So what I'm comfortable about is that Ollie understands everything and he's comfortable about it, and he's more than okay to continue on and be playing the game.
If you're okay touching on it, Ken, so how's he tracking personally? Would it be a bit of a shock? I know he's been dealing with it for a while.
Yeah, it's probably more so in the past when it happened the first time. But he actually knew exactly what's going on. He wasn't too worried about it. He was more, why did this happen again? That's all. And he's moved on, and he's got great support from the medical team here and his specialists. So he's really comfortable, and I hope his family are absolutely really comfortable about it. And I think that's the really important part of the game. I think that's probably enough on all.
Ken, now that you and the group have had a bit more time to reflect on the past 2 weeks, is there something to learn or something to note about the finishes?
Not too much.
Noting that the opposition's getting at you late.
Yeah, well, we put margins on games, and then that's what happens. They chase you really hard, and we've played high quality teams. I think we've been actually building pretty well. 2.5 quarters, 3 quarters. We haven't absolutely played a perfect 4 quarters yet, but the way we've played for large parts of those games, it's pretty hard to maintain that level, and against the quality that we've played against. I think that's really important. Let's not underestimate what we've played against, and to get wins, which are really important in this for us every year and every season. But not many people would have thought we got those wins. And I think we've got them in a way a bit differently, both of them a bit differently. The last two, smacked badly in contested possession, winning differently versus the Hawthorn game, winning the contested possession a bit. So it's good growth for us to see that we can do it differently.
So what can you learn about what to do in those situations? When teams come at you like that late?
What you learn is that you expect it to happen, and you just got to keep your composure. I think that was a critical piece, particularly in the Sydney game. I think we just lost a little bit of composure when we were exiting their forward 50. We were trying really hard to slow them down and hold them up, but what we did was we probably overdid a little bit of that when we should have just probably stayed in the when we get our chance with the ball to attack the game the right way.
How good is it to have Brandon back available again, and does he have to come back through the sample given how long he's out?
Yeah, he will come back through the sample. He's had too long off. He's had about 11 weeks, I think, since he's done his injury. So it's good to get him back, though. He's been really important for us in his first 12 months over here. So he was an important part and piece of our club that we get back together. And with some of the other boys who are still out, always good to get some people back.
Is North Melbourne as bad as their last 3 weeks in
No one's as bad as recent run of form in the AFL, and I think we all forget it too quickly. They've played some really solid football. They pushed good sides for large periods of the game, and we know exactly the same. That when it gets a bit hard and people want to write you off, there's a good way to return serve, and that is to get up and play your best footy. And I don't expect anything more than an Alistair Clarkson coach team to come full of fire and ready to go.
In terms of their struggles, probably up forward, they've maybe got some injuries, but at times struggled to lock it in. Is that how you can exploit them, particularly on the weekend when you've got the likes of the great ball users and Farrell and potentially?
Oh no, I mean you've got to play the whole game, not just one part of the game. And I think we've got to be able to control some of their weapons that they've got around the ball too. They've got some really, really powerful young mids, but also experienced mids who I think they've got reasonable balance, to be fair, in the team. I think they've had a couple of weeks where it's been a bit off, but already after round 6, there's not many teams that haven't had those type of moments.
So it's to be expected for a young team at times, do you think?
Again, my knowledge of the game would say, yeah, that's reasonable to expect some ups and downs when you're developing a new team and you're developing a club from a pretty low base. I'd expect it to be that way, but I would also expect the rush to come for those type of teams too. And I think that's with Clarko in charge, I expect them to get better pretty quick.
So what do you antennas do when you hear that so much white noise against an opponent you're about to come up against? Because they've been smashed from pillar to post. How do you react then?
I know how I react when you get smashed from pillar to post, and I know how our club reacts. Normally it's pretty positive.
Do you have empathy for Clarko as a senior coach?
No, he's won a fair bit. He hasn't had it too hard. But no, I have respect for the competition, and I think if we don't, how hard this competition is to play in, and when you're at different levels and different stages, criticism comes at times, rightly or unfairly.
Significant round. How do you take the significance of it into the change rooms, into your play?
Yeah, we never take it to try and make a comparison, because we don't do that, with wars and battles that go on in the world that we've seen over the journey. We don't. We just use, and we're really proud of our club that we represent ANZAC Day really well, and in 21 years in a row nearly that we've, bar COVID, that we've been able to represent football on ANZAC Day, and we take that as a real honour, and we look forward to doing that as a club with rich history, with their players and the names on the jumper and everything else that goes this week. It's such an a great day and round to be involved with. For us, we'll hopefully represent that the right way.
Do you know how to bring that into your own group?
Yeah, we don't talk physical. We don't talk war battles, but we talk about our battles as a footballers, and we try and, for those people who have served our country, which we're forever grateful for, we just like to put on a good football exhibition that they can be proud of and watch and be a part of, and understand that we're out there trying to represent them on this day in this round.
Just kind of have to stay on half back now. I know you're moving onto the ball in that final return, but he's doing pretty well. But
Yeah, he's been pretty good. Been pretty good, and it seems to have given us a little bit of balance with some of the changes we've made. We would expect he'll play at halfback again this week at the start, but we will use him where we need to use him. He's our captain, and we put him where we need him.
And Zach, I think we all knew you missed Zach. Any team would miss Zach, but as the last couple of weeks shown just how much.
It just goes to show what good players do, don't they, when they come back in. Bontempelli played last week too. He was pretty good. We forget how good they can be, but the great players are great players for a reason, and Zach's been really important back in our footy team.
What's
Given what you-
Sorry?
What's pleased you most, apart from the wins for the last 2 weeks from coaching perspective?
Building our game back to something that we represent ourselves in, and we like our identity to look a certain way, and I think we've been, we've been doing this for 3 or 4 weeks where we've been building, and even the St Kilda game, I said we lost that game, which was a disappointing day for us to lose, but I thought we learned a lot in the way we need to play, and then we built a bit more against the Hawks, and then again on the weekend we built a bit more. So I'd like to think that we will continue to build and grow in the parts of the game that we need to know. And we've been quite different. Like, I think we understand that we are a bit different as a footy team with personnel and positional stuff that we're doing. So we've been adventurous in what we've tried to chase, and we're now starting to get back to the identity that we like.
On that, we're a quarter of the way through the season, and you sit 3-3. Given what happened in the first round, given personnel injuries, do you take that? Is that a tick to sit where you are now?
No, we're football clubs are unhappy. We always want to be better. Unless we're absolutely undefeated and on top of the ladder, we're probably not absolutely happy. But we're happy with the way we've grown through the start of the season. A bad loss to Collingwood in round 1 doesn't look as bad. At the time when people were talking about it being, a really bad loss, I think they might be on top, are they, or second or something? So our form, in an up and down footy season, which is so tight, always has been, 3-3. Yeah, I'd much rather be 6-0 or 5-1, but the reality is it's 3-3, and I can't change that.
And given the way you've changed the side, particularly in the way the forward makeup is at the moment, does it? As a coach, does it please you as well, particularly in the past few weeks, you're playing an exciting brand of football? Like what the Power's producing at the moment is exciting for the fans, and I guess as a club to watch and be a part of.
I think we've done that for 13 years, more often than not. I think we've tried to play, an aggressive game of football, and that's what I said before, getting back to some of the identity that we like to be as a footy club. We think we play footy that can be entertaining and pretty tough, but the reality is you've got to do that every week, and 3 and 3 doesn't suggest we've done it every week.
So define that identity. You've used a couple of words there, but how do you define the identity of what this Port Adelaide should be?
Again, I just said, we think we play an aggressive, attacking style of football that results around being tough in the contest and being hard to play against. This language that we hear in the AFL, and I think when we're like that, we're a pretty good side.
Has the relationship between players and fans got into a bit of a concerning point last few weeks, Kim?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I said there's tiny percentage that have perhaps overstepped the mark, and mistakes happen. There's a couple that I clearly don't think should continue to happen, and I've said that. But some of the other stuff, we can just keep educating people, and we'll be better. Footy's great, and we want everyone to be at the footy and enjoy the footy.